The obsidian peaks had stood unconquered for 10,000 years, their jagged summits piercing the clouds like ancient teeth. Among those mountains, in a cavern that could swallow starships whole, dwelt Vorathax, the eternal dragon king of the northern reaches, whose scales were said to reflect the birth of galaxies and whose breath could atomize battle cruisers. He had witnessed civilizations rise and crumble to dust. He had seen species ascend to technological godhood only to vanish into cosmic irrelevance. Nothing surprised him anymore. Nothing moved him. Until the night he heard a human cub cry. The sound was impossible. Humans didn't venture into the obsidian peaks. The radiation storms alone would flay flesh from bone, and the gravitational anomalies turned most navigation systems into expensive paperweights. Yet there it was, a thin, desperate wail cutting through the mountain wind like a blade through silk. Vorathax emerged from his meditation, his massive form uncoiling with the grace of liquid mercury. His sensory organs, far more sophisticated than any scanner the Galactic Council possessed, traced the sound to a crash site 3 kilometers down the eastern slope. A small human vessel, twisted and broken, smoke still rising from its shattered hull. The Dragon King descended. Among the wreckage, he found them. A human male, Kalen, barely breathing, his arm bent at an unnatural angle, trapped beneath a support beam. And clutched against his chest, wrapped in thermal blankets that were already failing, a human infant. The cup, no more than a few months old by human reckoning, screamed with the outrage of the living who refused to surrender to the cold dark. "Please," Kalen whispered, blood on his lips, his eyes finding Vorathax's massive form. The humans should have been terrified. Every species in the known galaxy feared dragons. Instead, desperation trumped survival instinct. "Save my son, Rin, please." Vorathax could have left, should have left. Dragons did not involve themselves in the affairs of lesser species. It was an ancient law written in the bones of the universe itself. But the cub's cry, it reminded him of something he'd thought long forgotten. The Dragon King's claws, each one capable of shearing through hull plating, moved with impossible delicacy. He lifted the beam from Kellen's broken body, then gathered both human and cub in his grasp. The human male was dying. Even Vorathax's advanced biology could read that truth in the failing rhythm of his heart. "Your son will live," Vorathax rumbled, his voice like continental plates grinding together. "This I vow," Kalen smiled, blood-flecked and fading. "Thank you," he breathed, and then he was gone. The Dragon King returned to his cavern with the crying infant. He had no experience with younglings of any species, let alone humans. His kind hatched fully capable of flight and thought, but humans were born helpless, requiring years of constant care. It was inefficient, illogical, evolutionarily absurd. And yet, Vorathax studied the vast repositories of human knowledge stored in the galactic archives, learning in hours what most beings took years to master: infant nutrition, temperature regulation, developmental milestones. The humans, he discovered, were remarkable in their fragility, and even more remarkable in their refusal to let that fragility define them. Rin grew. The cavern, once silent except for the meditation of an eternal being, now echoed with laughter and the babbling of human speech. Vorathax fashioned warmth fields to protect the boy from the radiation. He synthesized human food with molecular precision. He told stories of the cosmos in terms a growing mind could grasp, watching wonder bloom in Rin's eyes. The boy called him VOR. It was improper, undignified. The Dragon King of the Northern Reaches had titles that took 3 hours to recite in full. But when Rin said VOR and reached out with tiny human hands, something in Vorathax's ancient heart shifted like tectonic plates finding new configuration. Years passed. Rin learned to walk among the stars, or at least among the peaks that touched them. Vorathax taught him mathematics by charting gravitational wells, taught him physics by explaining the thermonuclear fusion in his own breath, taught him wisdom by sharing the rise and fall of 1,000 civilizations. And Rin taught Vorathax something the Dragon King had never learned in 10,000 years: what it meant to be needed, to be trusted, to be loved not for power or majesty, but simply for being present. When Rin turned 12 human years, a delegation from the Galactic Council arrived at the Obsidian Peaks. They came in shielded ships, sending formal communications requesting an audience with Vorathax the Eternal. "We have come to retrieve the human child," the council representative announced, a crystalline being whose voice chimed like breaking glass. "It is unprecedented for a dragon to raise a human," It violates the accord of separation. The boy must be returned to his own kind. Vorothax coiled around the entrance to his cavern, eyes blazing with inner fire. The boy's father entrusted him to my care with his dying breath. That is a sacred vow. No council, no accord, supersedes that. Be reasonable, the representative insisted. You are a dragon. He is human. He needs his own species, his own culture. I need VOR, Rin said, stepping forward. The boy, nearly a man now, stood unafraid before beings that made most humans tremble. He's my family. The only family I've ever known. The representatives exchanged uncertain glances. This was not in their protocols. The accord exists to prevent exploitation, Vorothax said, his voice quieter now but no less powerful. Tell me, council members, who has been exploited here? The boy who has learned the secrets of the universe. The dragon who has remembered what it means to care for something beyond himself. The crystalline being was silent for a long moment. Finally it spoke. This is irregular, but we see no harm. The boy appears well cared for. Exceptionally so. They left, and in their departure, they carried a story that would spread across the galaxy. The story of a dragon king who heard a human cub cry and chose love over isolation, family over ancient law. Rin grew to adulthood in the Obsidian Peaks, becoming a bridge between species, a diplomat who understood both the ancient wisdom of dragons and the indomitable spirit of humanity. He never left the mountains, never left Vorothax. And when beings asked him why he stayed in such a harsh, unforgiving place, Rin would smile and say, because home isn't where you're born. It's where someone hears you cry and refuses to let you face the darkness alone. Vorothax the Eternal, Dragon King of the Northern Reaches, had thought himself beyond change, beyond growth, beyond anything that could touch his ancient heart. A human cub's cry had proven him wrong, and he had never been more grateful for anything in 10,000 years.